Welcome back to Build a Skatepark. Today we're going to work on something new again. This time it's going to be some more street elements, and let's go ahead and we're going to start working on some stairs, rail, and if we have time we'll try to do a bump to bar. So to build stairs, fairly simple because it's all rectangles. I like to start with just drawing lines, so we can start with our canvas. This time you can press L, start in your origin. Now this will be the height of our stairs. 5 foot is probably good, 4 foot's probably better. It depends on how many stairs you want. Let's do 4. So 4, enter. Let's follow that green axis. And I'm really not sure how far back it's going to go, but let's go ahead and just do something very far, like 12 feet. More than enough space. Then it should be able to snap to the green axis perfectly on the blue axis, up and down. See how it's vertical, and then back. Right, there's our canvas. I like to flip the face by right clicking, reverse faces, triple click. Oh, by the way, you don't have to triple click. You can single click and do oh no, you do, sorry. Triple click, make group. Sometimes if more than one face is selected, you can create a group without selecting every single line if it's needed. So here's our canvas, and let's start by making our first step. Now when you're building in feet, it's also called decimal. And in decimal, you can build in certain increments, like 0.5 is 6 inches. And for steps, typically they're about 8 inches, which is like the height of a block. So we're going to start at this corner origin, and we're going to go up following this vertical blue axis. Don't click yet. And we're going to type in 0.67. You can see it down on the right side. Enter. So there's our 8-inch block. It's typically what you want. And then we're going to do it again, but on the green axis, 0.67. Just like creating a rectangle. But instead of going down, we're going to go up again. 0.67. Enter. Now if you feel like these are too big, you can always go 0.5. I have seen steps that are 6 inches high. And it just can sometimes be a little too much. But let's keep going. See how it turns out. So green, blue, green, blue, green. Now I feel like these stairs are a little too steep. So if that's the case for you, let's undo. Just keep hitting Y. Control Y is undo, so hold Control Y, Y. Let's start over. We're going to try 1 foot for the top. So let's go up again, 0.67. In many cases you have to eyeball these. 1 foot, 0.67, 1 foot, 0.67, and just keep going. 1 foot is just 1, by the way. I'm sure you already figured that out. But the height is 0.67, 1, 0.67, 1. And it's probably not going to even out exactly to the height that we created. Oh, it did. Well, it didn't. You see that? A little too high, but you know what? No problem. Let's do our final step. Just make sure it's on the green axis. We're going to go down. And there's our stairs. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 stairs. Not bad. 4 feet high. This seems pretty accurate. Again, this is concept. It does not have to be perfect. But we are going to have a problem trying to place this next to other elements that you made 4 feet high, like a quarter pipe, a ledge, a bank. So we can actually cheat and click once on this top line, press M, snap to the corner. We're going to go down. Remember, you can hold, while it's on that blue axis, you can hold shift to snap it. So it won't, your mouse won't throw it off the axis, and just click on the top of that face. So yes, of course, it's not exactly 0.67 or 8 inches high, but that's okay. This is concept. You get the idea. There's some stairs. Alright, you know the next step. We're going to make this 3D. Press P, click once and let go, or click and release. I like to draw away from the camera. Let's do 10 feet. So there's a decent stair set where we could build a decent rail on the end of it, or in the middle. So there's two ways to select every face. One is to draw a rectangle with the dotted lines. You start from the right, drag to the left, let go, and see how every face is selected. Remember, if we do to the right, oh, that works too. I think the one to the right is more about, I want whatever's inside. Like if I just want these faces, see how it selects just those lines that went inside the rectangle? We don't want that. Want the entire thing, right click, make group. And again, we create groups to separate our elements, our objects, so that we can move them, edit them, and adjust them later on. It's just an easy way to keep things from combining, joining, and creating a mess. Let's create our rail. Just like in a couple lessons ago, we can draw a line literally from first step to the last step. And this height will be determining how high your ledge is, or sorry, your rail. We already know how high the ledge is. So I did 2. Sometimes you can snap by rolling your mouse over here, and sometimes it'll find the angle that you want. Not always, so that's fine. Press space, select the line you just created, press M, and you can, I would snap it at the bottom of this line we drew vertically. Click once and release, and see how it's kind of dancing around? We don't want that, so hold Control. Now it creates a copy of that line. Snap it to the very top. So we're creating technically a rectangle. And let's finish it so we create a face. There we go. Now from here we can draw whatever we want. I like to group it just because this is a temporary, almost like a sketch of the side. And then let's start with the top of our rail. So I'm going to draw the width. I think 0.1 was good last time. No, that's way too small. Let's try 0.25 is 3 inches, because 0.5 is 6 inches. Half of 6 is 3. Right? Do the same right here at the bottom. 0.25, enter. Now we can connect these. And we just have to connect the last 2, because there's no line there because of the group. Right? Top of our rail. Press P. We're going to pull this up. No, I didn't press and release. So press and release and now it'll stick to your mouse. But it'll also try to match any background objects. It'll try to snap. We don't want that. So sometimes it's good just to keep it away from other objects if possible. And we're going to do 0.1. So there's the top of our rail. So triple click that, right click, make a group. Now it's easy enough to make the posts. We can probably just delete this canvas here. Post, you can create a rectangle, so press R. This is a quick way. You can do, press R and then you click. Make sure it's on the blue. Notice how it'll change color depending on the axis. So there's green, red. We want blue, so we want it to go vertical. And you'll see what I mean in a second. Let's do 0.1, comma, 0.1, enter. So there's our post. That's how you can draw a rectangle on the ground exactly to scale. And then we want to snap this to the edge of our rail. A few tutorials ago I showed you how you could adjust the top of this so it matches the angle. There's more than one way to do that. We can click this little line on, that's not the inside, it's like on the outside. Press M, snap to the corner, and you could go straight up and down on that blue axis. Hold shift. See how it does that? So now you can snap to anywhere. See? And this way it doesn't change the width of our post, but it matches perfectly. Triple click, make a group. Last thing we need to do, well, it's not quite the last, is we're going to center it. So we'll try to find the center. It's not telling us the center here, but I'm pretty sure that's it. Oh, it did for a second there. It kind of flashed. And to midpoint. But you know what? This rail is a little too high on this side, so I'm going to go into the group. Here's our bounding box so that you know you're in. Not to mention everything else kind of turns a little gray. Press P. We're going to eyeball this. And just go down just a little. Maybe 1 foot would be fine if you want to be exactly to scale. Now here's another thing. When they do posts, they usually don't put them right at the edge of the stair. Usually it's in the middle. So we may have to redo the top. But that should be easy enough. So let's click on the post, midpoint. And so it doesn't get off center, make sure it's on that green axis, hold shift, and then we can match to the midpoint of that stair. But you see what happened, right? Now we got a gap. Let's go in that group and just select the face at the top. We'll use move again. Click any corner. I prefer the bottom. Keep it on that blue axis, hold shift. Yes, it's freaking out there, but we can ignore that. And just make sure to snap to the edge of this rail. And that should do it. Click outside the bounding box to get outside the group. So now you can see what we did. It's centered, centered, and now we can create more than one. Let's see if you remember the command. Press M, and then we're going to copy this by holding Control. Make sure you snap to a specific point of the stair that will match the rest of the stairs. Click once, release, let go of Control. So that makes one copy, right? So there is a command if you want to do every stair. I think there were 6 stairs. We already made 2, so let's do 4x. You can see it down the bottom where it says distance, 4x, press enter. Creates 4 more. That's clearly way too many posts, but I like how it looks, so I'm going to keep it. Okay, now to create a group of that rail and the posts, you just want to select it. But notice how the stair is selected. So you can either go and select each one, which takes more time, or you can do the other rectangle. You kind of have to eyeball where you want to start from the left side, but go to the right. And as long as that rail and the posts are inside the rectangle, they will all select. Pretty cool, huh? Right click, make a group. Now obviously you can make a component out of this, and you can go to our toolbar and drag and drop, or just click and there's your rail. You can also copy paste. But copy paste is hard because it's using the corner of the group. So I just pasted over the other one. Now I can put on the red axis, slide it over. But again, I'm eyeballing here. If you wanted it perfect, we'd have to measure. But sometimes eyeballing is just fine as long as you're not changing the scale of something. That looks pretty good. So now we could easily just create a rectangle. Make sure it's on that blue axis. Snap. Roll over this corner for your length. Press pull. There you go. Now you have a stair set, like in front of an office. Pretty cool, huh? And then what if you want to do a double stair set? Well, let's select all 3 by holding shift. Press M. Click on the very bottom corner. Press Control. Release both Control and the mouse. And there you go. But notice that the rail doesn't align. That's fine. We can press and pull to connect it, but wait a second. What if I want a gap? I have a double set. Of course, this is 8 feet high, but you get the idea. And if you don't like the height, start over, make your stairs 6 inches high, not a problem. Again, I've seen some stairs that are 6 inches high. The top would be 8 inches or even a foot. It can be fairly common. There's really no standard. It just depends on how they build these stairs out of blocks and what kind of blocks they use. Alright, so what's next? We're going to do bump to bar. Let's make this easy. Let's go ahead and reuse our rail here. So I'm going to delete all of them but one. And I'm going to keep these stairs here too because that'll show the angle of our bump to bar. The first thing you want to do is click at the very top corner. Oh, let's not do the top because remember we made this a little too small. It's not exactly 8 inches. Start here. And snap to the top corner at the bottom, right? Here. So there's kind of a bank, right? It's a steep bank. It's still a bank. In fact, I prefer doing it the other way. Let's go down, hold shift to snap to the blue axis, and roll your mouse over the very end of that first line. There we go. There's our bank. It's not reaching the ground yet. We can fix that later. Like I've said before, there are many ways to adjust, edit, redraw. So I could easily just redraw, see how it matches the line there. You can also hold shift and it'll keep that exact angle. Oops, I did not want to do that. Go back to our origin. Now this one's kind of hard to just eyeball and snap there, so you hold shift. And now you can click anywhere on this line and it'll snap those together. And there's something else I haven't taught you. You can trim off these extra lines just by using the rectangle. See how they're blue? Hit delete. In fact, I can trim these off. Delete. Keep it on the blue axis. Now what we don't want is 2 lines here, because as you extrude, it'll create a line. I know I said extrude, but as you press and pull. Oh, I just went back into CAD mode. So click and do a line at the bottom here. There's our bank. Still kind of steep. So if you don't like how steep it is, we can always just redraw, do a different rail so it matches this edge. We're forgetting something. I love doing this little curved edge at the bottom. So we'll go 1 foot. 12 is a little too many. Let's do 8. Trying to make it as smooth as possible. Hey, come on. What the heck? Notice it's going the wrong direction. It's on the ground. I'll show you. See? It's misleading. So your camera angle is very important to make sure it's aligned. So I'm going to turn it to the side because in this case it'll snap to that green. Okay, there we go. Click this extra line so we don't have extra everything. That looks pretty smooth. Does not have to be perfect. Let's go ahead and click and press and pull this out. Let's do 10 feet again. So we don't have our bump to bar, we have bump to rail, which is fine. Maybe we want this rail to be a little closer, because you want to slide it down, right? And we can even cheat a little by putting on that blue axis and sink it in a bit, right? So there's our bump. Let's go ahead and create a rectangle. It's as easy as just selecting this back face and pull it out. I'm going to go way out because the bump to bar requires a huge landing. Let's do 20. 20 is good. Alright, so let's triple click this bump. make group. And if you wanted to, make it wider. Now, I might move this to the center later on, but let's stick with on the left side here. What we need to do is build a rail based off of this edge, because you want it to line up, right? So let's draw it. Start at the corner, blue axis. Now this is to determine how far you want it to go. I say blue, I meant green axis. 8 foot, so 10 foot's probably good. Remember, this thing's 2 feet high, so kind of intimidating. 18 inches would have been better. Let's see here, I think we went 0.25. Alright, there's our face. I'm pretty sure we pulled it up 0.1. Yep, looks good. Now yes, we have a little gap here. This is difficult to fix. So for simplicity, let's just leave it, because you get the idea. But you can rotate this edge and rotate this edge and make them meet in the middle. Usually what I do is draw a line. So you find the center and they'll meet in the middle and they'll connect just fine. Okay, let's create our posts. Simple as a rectangle. Now I'm going to eyeball it here because this is already grouped. It's not going to stick to anything. Just make sure it's on the blue. And do point, is it 0.1? 0.1, comma, 0.1. I think that's too small. Yes, too small. Try that again. Oops. See, just a slight movement of your mouse can throw it off where you're snapping it to. 0.25, comma, 0.25. That's too big. I think it was 0.1. 0.1, comma, 0.1. And snap to the top. Yeah, that looks right. Your posts do not have to be this small. I'd have to look up the standards for wrought iron posts, because they come in certain sizes and you just cut it, weld it, done. But we do want this centered. Look at that, it is. How ironic. It just happens to be centered because we built this on the edge and moved it over. So we're good. Let's make our copies. Make sure to get the very corner. Now, right now it's just moving, but as soon as I press Control, it makes a copy. And let's do, I'm still holding Control by the way. Let's do 2 foot. Oh, no I'm not. Letting go of Control, 2 foot. Now you can type. I'm going to do more. So 8 foot, a 10 foot rail, 2 foot distance, so it's going to be 5, but we've already created 2. So let's do X4. Looks good. May have needed 1 more. Or if these are welded together at the top, basically just select each one of these posts and we'll just move them over. This time we can eyeball it by clicking anywhere on the screen. I try to click on a surface that's near them. Keep it on that green axis. Even hold shift just to be sure. Right? So there is our bump to bar. Now if you wanted to make this a group that's, well, first of all, I'd make this a component so you can use it later. And then you can make it all a group together. Right? Move it over to the middle. We made this, what, 10 feet wide, so it'd be 5 foot. See how it's all to scale? Now you got a sweet bump to bar. And this thing is going to launch you. It's a nice bank, nice curve. Again, if it's too high, you can change and adjust. But you may have to redraw your rail. So it's good to make sure your bump is exactly the height, exactly the angle you want before you draw the rail. If you want it to be lower, you can literally just click on it, move it down. It's tiny. I actually like that better. So bump to bar. That's it for today. Enjoy your skate park designs.